Today we got our first look at Shadow of the Erdtree, and I must say it is magnificent. This was a typical From Software trailer. Lots of mystery, lots of out-of-context action, lots of, well, everything. They showed off a new area, presumably the Realm of Shadow mentioned, which looks familiar but with a greater variety in its scenery. They teased new bosses, weapons, armor, NPCs, and just about everything else you would expect to see from this follow-up. Disappointingly, they also showed we will be waiting until June to realize this expansion in full, so our patience must hold a little longer. But today I want to talk about the speculative size of the expansion. Priced at $40 USD, it is the most expensive FromSoft DLC to date, no doubt owing to the monumental development time and the scale of its base game. I think $40 is very reasonable for something like this. If anything, we might be getting a better deal than usual, if the 2.5 years it is taking to bring to light is indicative of its quality. Every other DLC in the Soul series has been around the $15 to $20 mark, each of which dramatically improved on its predecessor in just about every way imaginable. Their contribution is not merely additive, but transformative, completing what the initial game began. For them to charge double tells me this expansion is considerably larger. It wouldn't take so long to release if there wasn't so much to get right. From Software is an ambitious developer who would not waste their own time. If for $20 I can have the old Hunters, then for $40 I am expecting tremendous results. I am expecting a comprehensive edition. With that said, and as I said in my previous video, Elden Ring is incomplete. It is up to the Shadow of the Erdtree to bring it full circle. And that is a substantial undertaking. Elden Ring is a massive game. It took me about 100 hours to complete the first time around, and my subsequent playthroughs are significantly longer than any previous title. This is something I have a love-hate relationship with. I love having more to do. I hate having to do more. I am someone who likes to make builds, and the time required to make a build is largely dependent on how long it takes to complete a playthrough, as the best items are usually kept in the back. With each playthrough of the game as it stands, I find myself quite tired around the mountaintop of the giants and the consecrated snowfield. I am of the opinion that much of the playtime of Elden Ring is padded through wide open areas that require excessive backtracking and a substantial increase in repeated content, neither of which I find to be in the game's favor, especially when compared to the relatively narrow and concise offerings of previous titles. Now we are adding additional steps to every playthrough. Likely many hours worth. But how big will the DLC be? I think it'll probably be huge. While almost every shot in the trailer featured what appeared to be the same location from different angles, the difference in scenery makes me think there are layers to the Realm of Shadow. My hope is that it will be dense, not unnecessarily overly long or drawn out. I don't want to fight duplicate bosses, I don't want to do repetitive catacombs, I don't want to do anything in the expansion that I have already done countless times before. It needs to be 100% new content, and that content needs to be extremely precise in its execution. Something I would really like to see in this expansion is expedience for some of the more tedious elements. I want every consumable and crafting item to be purchasable. I am very tired of farming for my materials I need to invade. It gets in the way of me actually playing the game, and that is just not a good use of my time. I would also love to see them expand on existing content, specifically in the PvP area. I want more arenas with traps and verticality and an adjustable timer. I want more players per match. Give me 4v4 and 5v5. I want a matchmaking menu that actually gives me useful information, like how many players in my range are also matchmaking. The arenas are a nice idea that need a lot of work, and this is a chance to do something with them. And what I really want to see is replayability at the forefront of this new content. I want to finish a fight and want to immediately hop on another character, or summon in for someone else, to come back and do it again. I want every step I take in Shadow of the Erdtree to be an absolute joy. Horrifying, difficult, and breaking, but a joy to those who seek such conflict. They didn't show off any multiplayer in the trailer, a few humanoid enemies but no other players, and that is not uncommon for these gameplay reveals. Still, my concerns around co-op and PvP development remain unaddressed. The biggest issue I had when playing through Elden Ring at launch was how much of a chore playing with others was. Without the option to ride around on Torrent, exploring the lands between was an absolute slog, meaning co-op was essentially barred to legacy dungeons, which make up only half the total experience. And they can fix that, either by easing requirements on cooperative play, taking notes from the extremely popular Seamless Co-op mod, or by making the new content more hospitable to the cooperative process. Much of what they demonstrated was on-foot exploration, which is a good sign. Torrent was there for a few parts, but overwhelmingly the combat was dismounted. Not that I dislike using Torrent, it's just that when I use Torrent, I can't use my friends and I can't PvP. And on the point of PvP, with a place called the Realm of Shadow, likely a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, I will be very upset if there is no forced invasion zone. Where else can those darkest and most vile creatures coalesce to sow seeds of malice and bloodlust? I would also settle for the Taunter's Tongue, just expanding the co-op to 4 players and the invaders to 2, and for it to not be toggleable. I'm not asking a lot here. But I feel it's important to highlight what exactly this DLC means for Elden Ring. This is its rebirth, its renaissance, the chance to get everything right. The best memories I have of playing these games are when their DLCs are released. Everyone now a practiced veteran of the game with a build and a mission, ready to play together through the final act. Shadow of the Erdtree needs to respect that. It needs to put multiplayer at the forefront of its design choices. If everyone is too busy doing perimeter searches on their mount to put down their sign for an insane new boss, it is going to seriously hamper the collective experience. If everyone is too busy boss rushing for the best new gear to actually invade cooperators, where's the fun in that? I am adamant in my belief that these games are not meant to be experienced only alone. The summon sign is an iconic extension between players, and something that gives these games their unique identity. If they can stick this landing, it will prove that not only is From Software the best developer of their era and a beacon of hope in a decaying landscape, but that they recognize what makes people so dedicated to their games. That a 2.5-year gap between start and finish is a worthwhile wait. That if anyone can succeed with a model all but abandoned, it is them. Shadow of the Erdtree will be big, but the true measure of its worth will be how it brings us together.